This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net. And today I have Jim Ballard on with me. And Jim is one of my favorite Northeast Ohio musicians. So, welcome, Jim.
Well, thank you. It's good to see you, Karen.
Good to see you. So, you've been in the music industry, we know, for quite a while.
Yeah.
And, neither one of us are going to count lines on our face to figure out, our ages. But you've been doing this and you're sitting in your studio right now. So we all get a chance to see what the studio looks like. So, how have you been handling the last couple months during the pandemic? I mean, you're supposed to be on the road performing.
Well, actually, I've spent a lot of it in here. Uh, I I gig, I do recording sessions, and I teach here in the studio, and all of those went away. Although beginning of June, I started teaching again, but only online with my students. So yeah, all of that went away. In the early part of it, I began. I thought, well, I need to keep busy, and I'll back up a half a step and say I have a batch of songs written that I'm getting out to the band, and we were just talking at the end of last year, beginning of this year, about okay, how are we going to approach this new album, and how are we going to build the songs together, and all of that process. And then this happened, and of course, all that went away too. Uh, and I began uh, doing a little thing I called quarantine kitchen from my kitchen, and I was just doing it on my iPad or my uh, laptop. And after about two of them, I didn't like how it sounded, and I also really wanted to play with other musicians, which I couldn't do that way either. So I decided to move the whole operation in here to the studio, where while I'm taping video, I could also tape into the recording
Sure.
software and then sync those together, and it would sound nicer. And then I went, ooh, you know, a lot of musicians I know, including everybody in my band, has some recording gear at home. Let me send them MP3s of just me playing, and they'll put their parts on them, which they did admirably. And
Wow.
so a lot of the songs, we taped 37 songs I taped, and probably on about 20 or more, there are either my band and guests or just a guest performer, such as Kathy Grady or Jim Gill, Michael Grady. Uh, People came on and played. So that kept me really busy up until uh, actually we just have a couple loose ends on a couple songs to finish up, but virtually we're finished with that. So that really kept me busy. And I have to say, I I think it kept the band busy too. I kept kind of egging them and saying, "Oh, I need that piano part, or I need that drum part," and they would get it to me, but they were admirable in stepping up to the plate. So we kept really busy for 2 months. It took me over 2 months to get all of that done, which, when you think about it, that's what it would do. So yeah, I kept busy actually doing music, but not doing it live anymore. So we're all kind of itching to be able to do some live music.
Absolutely. And, some of the other performers that I've talked to over the last couple of weeks have said, as great as, doing a YouTube show, a Skype show, Zoom, not seeing your audience and
Mhm.
their reaction um, is a whole different story. And even when you're recording independently, that's got to be difficult because usually you're waiting for somebody to say, cut, let's do it again, or hey, afterwards that was great.
Yeah,
So
well, that's true. And are you familiar with the show on NPR, Live from Here?
yes, yes,
And of course, it grew out of Prairie Home Companion, which has been on since something like 1974, I think. And Chris Thiele's had the show, I want to say 3.5 years, and it's canceled, you know, because of all that,
right.
and that's pretty big. Uh, and I listen to Peter Sagal's "Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me" usually each week too, and they're doing it all with Zoom. Everybody is joining on Zoom,
Right.
but you can tell there's a different vibe. And of course, they're also putting in a laugh track, and there's no audience. They put in a laugh track at certain places, but there's no real audience response like there would be. And the audience is part of the performance for anybody who performs anything.
Well,
You,
and
you know,
and I was seeing your comments on Facebook and um, Charlie's comments and Alex Bevan. You're all making comments about, this is great. At least I'm performing. At least I'm getting my music out there. But I really want that audience.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to you because I had heard in other areas where they were doing these drive-in concerts. Um, there's also a group of people who are doing what they're calling flatbed concerts. And they um, put a flatbed, attached to like a pickup truck, and they drive around the city and they perform. And I thought, well, that's great and all.
Yeah.
But part of the reason they were doing it so they could do their YouTube or Zoom live, okay, but at least get people that would maybe congregate somewhere around them to
Sure.
get that feedback. And so when I reached out to all of you and I said, what about, a drive-in concert? It was just a thought that I had. And yet you sort of ran with it.
Well, I saw your email the one day and I went, actually, because, and I immediately hooked it up to Kenmore because we have the space and place, and probably I knew the energy and desire to do that. So I immediately that day got a hold of Tina Boyes, she's executive director of Kenmore Neighborhood Alliance. And she's always kind of a spark plug with, she's got the ideas and the connections and the know-how. And I thought, let me mention this to Tina. And she immediately texted me back and said, yeah, we've already kind of been talking about something like that. What's your idea? And I told her about what was your idea
Right?
about doing them maybe in church parking lots or that kind of thing so that they were a drive-in. And she said, oh, can you meet at the parking lot? And like the next day almost. And so we got down there and met 3 or 4 of us and we started talking and walking around and seeing what the possibilities were to set this up. And out of it grew that. And of course, there again, Tina knows who to talk to downtown. And I know that there were a lot of hoops to jump through.
I'm sure.
As it turned out, we got a hold of the city, and Tina was putting in all the paperwork for the permits and all. And the city of Akron actually did not know what the parameters were because everybody's making this up as they go along.
Right, exactly.
So they kind of almost took Tina said, let's cover every base. Let's think up everything that we can do and then tell the city how we're going to do that. And apparently the city went, oh, Kenmore's got this right. Yeah, let's do this. And as far as I know, we're the first neighborhood in Akron to do anything like this, to finally come out. So maybe we'll be the template for the city to be able to do more of this.
Well, and I think you're the first one in at least Northeast Ohio, from what I understand, because I contacted a number of the drive-in theaters and churches, and they all liked the idea, except they had the problem with staffing it. How do they staff it?
Right.
And the other thing was we'd have to rent porta potties.
Yep.
Okay. And when they went through all these things, and then they were talking permits, and that just went over my head because I said, wow, I don't even know where to begin there. And so that comment was, we really love the idea, but we're not sure it's worth our time and energy. And thinking about that, a church typically doesn't have a lot of money. Yes, they have a big parking lot.
Right. That's right. And you know what the difference is, I think, too, in this whole revival of Kimmel Boulevard? It isn't, the idea has been to lead it back with the arts and music, especially. Right. And we kind of built around the anchor of the Rialto Theater on the boulevard. But there were already some businesses up and down the boulevard, like the comic shop and so on, that have been there for a long time and doing well in and amongst boarded up buildings. Well, now that whole area, I don't think there's a boarded up building any longer. And that's only happened in the past few years. And what I was going to say, though, was that there are a couple of really good restaurants right on the boulevard. One of my absolute favorite pizza shops in the world is right on Kenmore Boulevard now, is Pierre's Pizza. And then just before the lockdown, a little corner shop right near where the parking lots are, where we're going to have this opened up, called Little Bit Cafe. And they have a walk-up order window. And what they're going to do, and I may get some of this wrong, but the basic idea is that they're going to have PPE educated car hops.
Yes.
And car hops are going to come out to the parking lot and take your order like they would at Skyway. And
love it.
Yeah. And then go and make it so that people don't have to make a line back and forth to the restaurants, and bring food from both of those places. And I don't know if there are other other ones involved too, but I know for sure that those two places are involved. And I think that's really great because it involves businesses on the boulevard. And I think the businesses up and down the boulevard are also going to have specials or be opened at special hours. So there again, if you get to talk with Tina, I
Yes.
know you know all those details.
Luckily, we're going to do a podcast with her tomorrow. So
Cool.
for those of you listening today, please tune in for that. Um, one of the things I'm really excited about is that because we're doing it in a parking lot, and so you're basically staying by your car, which is allowing people to safely distance from each other.
Yeah.
I know we're going to be outside, and a lot of people say, you know, do I have to wear a mask? I think it's a good thing if we do because people are going to be walking by you. So as much as you want to stay 6 feet apart, you know, just keep yourself safe is all I ask.
Well, I'm a runner and I'm out on the towpath most days of the week, and I take my mask with me. And
Yes.
one of those that wraps around, and it's uncomfortable. It's hard to breathe, but I think I'm better safe than sorry.
Well,
And
and I just think that's a good, you know, message for all of us because you may see one of your best friends there and your reaction may be to get a little closer than 6 feet.
right,
Let's make sure we have the mask on. Because we want these to continue. You know, we want to be able to get out and
right,
hear live music. Um, so tomorrow, I mean, a week from tomorrow, July 3rd is the date.
right.
You're going to be performing. Who else is going to be performing?
Oh yeah, there are so many good people. These are three of my favorites. Uh, Nate Vail, who is along with his brother, they own the Rialto Theater, but Nate also is the lead guy, songwriter, front guy of a band named Ashes. And if people around town know that band or they know Nate, they know that they're going to hear something special. So you got Nate Vail. We're all performing basically solo. We might have a little guest or two with us, but keeping it simple and staying kind of folksy and solo. But Nate Vail is playing. Zach, I mean, you just say one
Right.
word, Zach, around Akron, and everybody knows.
Absolutely.
We should have a Zachron day. Everybody knows Zach's name so well. So there's Zach again, you know, and then Mark Lee Shannon, once again, been around a long time, knows the ropes, knows what he's doing. All three of these guys are wonderful songwriters, wonderful performers, and they all have voices that I would probably do something illegal to get. You know, they just can, they're wonderful singers, performers, songwriters. So it's just going to be very, very nice. And we're going to all join together at the end of it and do a song, I guess, when it's all done.
Yeah.
So it'll be like a mighty wind.
And you know, I think it's funny because I've seen you play solo and I've seen you with, you know, other musicians, and all of a sudden you're all playing something together. And afterwards, I'll find out that wasn't planned and your audience would never know. So we have some good professionals here in the area.
A lot.
Yes,
And so,
absolutely.
yeah. And you know, my, my band, the Strangs, my guitar player in my band is Wes McRae, and he's going to be my partner on this. He does some harmonies in the band, and he does multi instruments. So I don't know which instruments he's planning to bring, but he's going to be my partner on this too. So, and I think Mark Lee Shannon has a guest. I don't know. Nate may or may not. So, but there again, we're keeping it pretty stripped down and simple. But we may have a guest or two with us singing or playing.
Absolutely. So I asked you when we set this all up if you could do one performance for us on this Zoom. I'm going to preface it with we are relying on Zoom and YouTube to make sure that your sound is good. If it's not, do not blame this on Jim. Uh, come out to the concert July 3rd. But I think it would be nice if people got a little taste of your music.
Well, I'm here in the studio and I always have a guitar around. So
Okay, good.
let me grab one of them and see here. I'm sitting down, but let me put my strap on so it doesn't fall off my lap. Not that that happens very often, but there we go. And hopefully I'm in tune. What do we have here? Can you see everything you need to see?
You and the guitar.
All right. In a can, Washington Street, stealing my old man's souls, trying to steer clear of old crazy car, so we don't have to laugh at his jokes. It ain't all that funny, plus he'll take our money and lose it all in some corner game. So we cut through the park, past the tramps in the dark. We ain't got a dime to their name. And the bells of St. Mary's are ringing like a mother's voice calling you home. And the bells of St. Mary's are ringing, so throw a stone. Now Billy and me, we want to just get free from the corners and the cops and the kings. We ran all the games, knew all the names. We seen almost everything, except for the packs we had on our backs and the medals that we tossed in a drawer. And when I returned with the stories I'd learned, Billy didn't come home no more. And the bells of St. Mary's are ringing like a mother's voice calling you home. And the bells of St. Mary's, they're ringing, so throw a stone. So kick in a can through the old neighborhood where Washington Street used to be, till the freeway came through, cut the city in two, and split up old Billy and me. And now there's no taker to cross hills half acre, breathing that fire we all knew. So the silence is still from this campanile. The voices of angels rang true. And the bells, St. Mary's, are ringing like a mother's voice calling you home. The bells of St. Mary's are ringing, so throw a stone. Throw a stone.
Well, I love that. You
There you
did
are.
a
Thank you.
great job. And I just want to remind people again, this concert will be on July the 3rd in the Kenmore neighborhood. And it's being sponsored by the Kenmore Neighborhood Alliance and the Kenmore Chamber of Commerce. Um, it's the first drive-in concert that they're having, which I think is terrific. So let's all get behind it and make sure that there are more. Even when the pandemic is over, I think it would be a great
It's I
concert.
think that we're going to bring a lot of things out of this pandemic that we're going to bring forward that we had to do, and we're going to find out that it was pretty cool, including sidewalk cafes, Akron,
Yes.
and we're going to bring those forward, and they'll become part of our life.
Well,
That's cool.
I understand that the concert starts at 6:30.
It opens at 6:30 and starts at 7 sharp. Yep.
So it is first come, first serve in the parking lot. However, if you miss the parking lot, make sure you have a folding chair or a blanket somewhere with you because you can always park somewhere else, walk over, and safely distance yourself and listen to the concert.
Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention too was that they're gonna bring up an FM transmitter and hook it into the output of the sound system, and they'll tell you what frequency, and you'll be able to dial it in on your radio in your car. But not only if you're in the parking lot, but if you're in kind of the general area. I get the impression it's maybe a quarter mile or so radius. So in the general area of the neighborhood, you should be able to dial it in.
Well, they're doing a lot for this. We're really excited to be part of it. We're going to be there taking pictures. So if you see us walking around taking your pictures and stuff, please say hi to newclevelandradio.net. Can't wait to see all of you in concert.
I can't wait to see you there. Haven't seen you in real live person forever.
It has been a long time.
Yeah.
And it's really my first time really getting out since my knee surgery. So I'm really looking forward to this.
It'll be a good day to try it out.
It's going to be wonderful.
Yep.
Again, thank you. Our love to your family. Stay healthy and well. And we'll see you on July 3rd.
Y'all too. We'll see you then. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.